Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I would love to talk with you about everything that I read in the month of February. Before we get started, I just want to give you a reminder to please follow me on all of my social media. I always have them linked in the description below. I have an Instagram, Goodreads, Letterboxd. Keep up with me there to see what I'm currently reading or watching or posting. Okay, first let's get into some stats. I had a great reading month last month. I picked a lot of really good books. I read 7 books. It equaled out to 2,836 pages. I want to thank Storygraph real quick as always for existing, because without them I wouldn't have all these really cute stats to show you guys or to look at whenever I want to. I'm definitely a stats person, so if you are a reader and you like stats, get Storygraph. This isn't sponsored, I just really like the app, okay? So when we look at mood, I read 5 books that were labeled adventurous. I had 3 that were labeled dark, 3 that were labeled emotional, and 2 that were labeled mysterious. When we look at page number, I had 1 book, or 14%, that was under 300 pages, and then all the rest of the books, okay, so 6 books, or 86% of the books that I read last month were between 300 and 500 pages. Looking at genre, we had 4 books labeled romance, as well as 4 books labeled fantasy. It was a big romantasy month for me, and I can't wait to talk about it. Okay, I read some really great books. I had 3 that were labeled science fiction, and then I had 2 that were labeled LGBTQIA+ and or literary. Looking into the star rating, look at that. Look at how high that number is. My average star rating from last month was 4.0. I think that's the highest it's ever been on this channel. That's over a year of having an average under 4.0. I had 3 3-stars, 1 4-star, and 3 5-stars. Okay, let's talk about it. So the first book I finished last month was He Who Drowned the World. This is from Shelley Parker Chan. This is from the Radiant Emperor duology. I ended up giving this one 5 stars because it was so good. I didn't know, okay, listen, I feel like some people know where this book is going. They know what moment in Chinese history this whole story is like leading up to. I didn't, okay? I am very not knowledgeable about history. I definitely don't know a thing or two about Chinese history, okay? And this was amazing to read, to like get to the point to where we get to it. Oh my god. So this is the second book in this duology. In the first book, this is about a girl who takes her brother's name. Her father and her brother have been killed, and she is kind of like left for dead, but she decides like, no, like I was left here, I can survive, I'm gonna survive as long as I can, I'm gonna live my life the best way I can. She joins a monastery. She eventually just like moves up the ranks to be able to have her own army. She takes other people's armies. She makes friends with people. It's very much like, it's a war book, but it's not extremely graphic. I would say that this second book has been the most graphic. There is sexual assault in the book. There is marital in the book. There's a lot of very serious topics happening in this book, but if you are able to read it, oh my god, like it's such a good book. It's so well written. It has a lot to do with like gender identity, sexual orientation. I just think it was really great representation. I love the characters so much. There's so many really dynamic, well written, beautiful characters in this book. It's all about survival. It's all about making the best of your situation and being the best person you can be, and I really resonated with it. I would recommend this series to anybody, okay? Okay, next I read Cinder from Marissa Meyer. This is book 1 in the Lunar Chronicles. I gave this one 3 stars. I didn't have any issues with it really. It's a YA. It's very easy to read, very fun. It's a play off of Cinderella. Okay, so Cinder is an android that has been entered into this family where the father who took her in died, who was the one that was really nice to her, so she only has her stepmom and her stepsisters to live with. You know, she takes care of everything for them. She also owns like a garage, so she fixes cars, fixes other people's androids. A thing about her though is that she's like half human, like she looks human, and she has body parts to cover up like the android parts of her. Like I believe like her leg is looks like an android leg, and so she has like a fake leg to like put over it, like fake skin to put over it. I mean, it's the story of Cinderella, okay? The prince falls in love with her. He thinks that she's a real girl. There is a lot at play here, okay? So it's called the Lunar Chronicles. We find out a lot about like her heritage. There's this evil queen from like the lunar valley, the lunar realm, that like kind of resides over everyone. She's an evil queen. She comes to like take over the prince and the kingdom of that they have and everything. It's just, I had a great time. It wasn't like the best thing I've ever read, but I'll definitely keep reading the series. And Marissa Meyer, okay, she wrote Heartless, which was one of my favorite books I read last year. And so like if you're a person who likes fairy tale retellings like Marissa Meyer, you got to pick up her books. And Cinder, I think, is one of her more popular series, and I mean, everyone knows this cover. I know I've been seeing this cover since I was a kid. Ooh, okay, next I read Gideon the Ninth. This is from Tamsin Muir. This is the first book in the Locked Tomb series. I also gave this book 3 stars. It is like a science fiction rock opera set in space. That is like the vibes that I get from this book, okay? I don't even know how to explain the whole premise to you because there's a lot going on, honestly. So there is a competition. There's basically like this omnipotent like god, like he is like, you know, the sun revolves around him, okay? And he has the ability to raise people from the dead, okay? He's a necromancer, and he has all of these different like little, I don't really know if they're like kingdoms or just like different worlds within his world, and there's like 9 of them, okay? So this is the Gideon the 9th, okay? And basically in each little world there is a necromancer who is like the best necromancer of all time, and they all have like a right-hand man, okay? So in this 9th world, this girl, I don't remember their names, I just remember Gideon's name, I'm so sorry, but there's this girl who is the necromancer for that world, and basically what it is the best necromancer from each world comes to compete, and whoever the winner of that competition is basically becomes like the omnipotent god's like right-hand man, okay? And they each can bring their little like charge with them, their little sidekick, and Gideon is her sidekick, okay? This is labeled as like a lesbian romance. It's not explicit at all, like there's never like any, I don't even think they kiss, I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember there being a kissing scene in this. It's just very much the vibes are lesbian, okay? I know that this is really well loved. I think that my problem is just that I can't get into science fiction. I'm trying, okay? I'm trying to watch more science fiction movies. I'm clearly reading more science fiction books because I want to get the hype. I want to know why people like these books so much, like these stories so much. And there are a lot that are like really well renowned, like well loved, okay? I have a couple up here like Project Hail Mary, The Martian. Lots of people love these stories and I want to get the hype, okay? So I decided to read Gideon the 9th, and I just didn't love it as much as everyone else, I'll be honest. I thought it was well written, the humor is really good, there's witty dialogue. I mean, the main character Gideon, she's like so negative, like a negative Nancy in a way, but she's very witty and she's quick with her humor. There is a lot of death in the book, you know, it's a competition book, okay? So there's a lot of people trying to like outmaneuver other people to be the #1 at the end. For me, it was just such a flat line though, like even at the end when crazy stuff was happening, I just felt at the same pace the whole time I was reading the book. Not to mention, I felt it to be very confusing. It was like I turned on a movie 45 minutes in and no one's gonna explain to me what's going on or who these characters are or what the premise is. I'm just supposed to learn it along the way, but in the case of this book, sadly, we don't even learn it along the way. Like, I believe it's 70% of the way through the book, someone's like, oh, Gideon, why are you and so-and-so like such enemies? Because it's supposed to be like an enemies to lovers kind of lesbian story. And then she's like, let me tell you. And then it's like, me and so-and-so grew up together, blah, 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 blah. And it just like tells the whole story like that, instead of like having us figure it out either at the very beginning of the story or have little pieces put in throughout the story so you can put their story together of why they're enemies. It's just like paragraph upon paragraph of her not even telling it like a story. It's just like the author is telling it to us. And there are just so many bits of it that I really didn't like, but I do acknowledge that it's well written and it was very witty. So I gave it 3 stars and I want to continue the series, but I'm not like excited to pick up the next book, I won't lie. Okay, next I read To Poison the King. This is from S.G. Prince. This is the first in the Heirs of Isla series. This is 5 stars. This book is a standalone. I believe that the second book is about a totally different character, totally different kingdom even, just within the same realm of Isla or whatever, but this is like a standalone and it was so good. It's extremely underrated. I think when I read it, it had like 1,000 reviews on Goodreads. Okay, it's a Kindle Unlimited book. If you are a romantasy girly, this one is for you, okay? I'm sorry, I don't remember anybody's names, but basically the main character, she's a girl whose mother is like, she works for the kingdom, she's like the healer for the king, right? And at the very beginning of the book, the mother basically tricks her daughter in poisoning the prince who is to become the king, okay? And then her mother goes missing. Her mother kind of just like leaves her, and she ends up becoming the healer for the king. But the whole time the king doesn't know that she's the one who poisoned him, okay? They are like slowly coming together and falling in love and everything. The girl, the main character who is the healer, she is very smart. She has this like wonderful knowledge of like where to pick things and where to find things and where to grab things and how to make things as well. Her dad was very handy. The prince, like, he becomes so sick, he's not able to like stay up for long. He cannot stand, he cannot walk. She has this wheelchair that has been made and she like brings it to him. They gain each other's trust. They kind of start to fall in love with each other, but it's like he's the prince, like she's just the healer, you know? So like both parties kind of view it as like, oh, like we like each other, but we're not actually going to do anything about it because it's just like forbidden in that way, you know what I mean? But he really loves her, he really respects her, he shows up for her a lot. it just has it's so well written. I think that's part of the reason why I loved it so much, is that it was a romantasy that was really well written, which I feel like is really rare with Kindle Unlimited books, unfortunately. I've read many romantasy duds on Kindle Unlimited. If there's one book that you get from this video that you should read, it has to be To Poison a King. Please, if you have Kindle Unlimited, if you're a romantasy girly, you have to read this book. It is so much fun. I had a great time reading it. Next, I read Annie Bot from Sierra Greer. I give this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed this satirical take on it. It's very literary fiction as well. So basically, we live in a world where you can purchase a bot, a female robot, and there are many different settings that this female robot can have. It can be a nanny, okay, it can take care of your children for you. It can be a cleaning robot, okay, it can take care of your house, take care of your meals, take care of everything for you, so you can just come home from work and everything at home is taken care of. Or it can be a sex bot, okay? And Annie came as a cleaning bot, but then he switched her to a sex bot, but then he's also taught her how to be a cleaning bot and take care of his house while still being this really giving and lovely sex bot, okay? So because he has been able to converge the 2 bots together in a way, the 2 settings, his Annie, his bot, is like an anomaly, okay? And everyone at the manufacturer, at the factory of these Android bot company where you can buy these bots, they are just like enamored with it. They're like, how did you do this? You guys have this great relationship. Like, it's clear that you have like surpassed what we even thought these bots could be. You've been able to combine settings and all this stuff. It's a really, really great story on body autonomy. I think that it's a really great take on feminism as well, and like how we view other women, how we maybe judge other women and then come to terms with that judgment and like deprogram ourselves from judging other women and their own lifestyles and instances and everything. I loved the ending so much. I think that the ending could have gone like 3 different ways, and I feel like each way would have been written so well. I would have loved and respected it so much, but the way that this one ended was the perfect way. Like, she picked the perfect path to end the story on, and I just absolutely loved it. I was floored. I had a great time reading it. It was a really fast read as well. I think it was the book that was under 300 pages that I read. I think it's like 250 pages maybe. So good, so much fun. It's a little triggering. I mean, like, think about the things, what it could be. Like, she's a sex bot, she doesn't have her own body, she doesn't know how to say no, she doesn't know that she can say no. I think that the man of the story was written really well, being like this complex kind of like, I feel bad for hurting you, but also you made me hurt you kind of thing. It wasn't cringy at all. I didn't feel embarrassed while reading it. I didn't feel like this is silly and stupid. I really think that the author did a great job conveying everything that she had here. Oh, okay, we have reached the part in the video where my feet have fallen asleep and it's time to sit on my butt. Okay, the second to last book I read last month was Metal Slinger. This is from Rachel Schneider. This is the first book in the Fire and Metal series. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. This was another kind of romantasy, and one of the more mid romantasies, I'd say. Okay, so our main character here, she lives in this village that's kind of falling to desolation. It's falling apart. She is best friends with the prince, the soon-to-be king, and he like definitely likes her too. They share a lot of kisses. They kind of have like this almost secret underground romance going on, but it's like everyone knows they like each other, okay? There's no secret, and there's no problem with him liking her. She is like still kind of like a commoner, but she like lives and works in the castle. Basically, she was found with no parents, and his parents, the king and queen, took her in. And one day this guy comes along to the town and she's very drawn to him. He ends up following her to the castle. He gets captured for like trespassing, you know. She sees him, she's just very drawn to him. She goes to visit him in the cell one day and he's like not answering her questions, but she's just like, why are you following me? Why are you looking for me? Why do I feel this way around you? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And he won't answer her questions, but one day a huge storm is coming and she knows that any prisoners down in the brig, they're going to be soaked up first, okay? The storm is gonna come grab them first, and so he's gonna die unless she goes down to help him. So she helps him escape from the prison, and he tells her that when she was little, she was the heir for this kingdom. She's the princess of this kingdom, okay? And this kingdom that she's living in now, I don't remember anyone's names, I'm so sorry, but I do remember that this story had a lot of really shitty names. Like, I really hated everyone's name in this book. His family stole her to stop peace negotiations happening with other kingdoms, and if they took her, they knew that the peace negotiations wouldn't happen, right? So she was stolen as a kid. She kind of was brought up in squalor because this kingdom that she was stolen to is falling apart, right? Whereas she could have had like this grand life as like this princess, soon to be queen. She could have married royalty and all this stuff. And this guy, he's like the bad boy, right? Okay, he's tall, dark, and handsome. He's got a nose ring. and he tells her that they are basically mates, like they are a match, okay? And basically they were supposed to be married back in the day, but because she was stolen, he's been like trying to find her his whole life, okay? He's been searching for her. So they go on this whole journey, this whole treacherous journey that lasts like 200 pages. 200 of the pages of the book, I swear, were like on this boat traveling. And we get to his kingdom, and everything's just really weird once we get to his kingdom, okay? She suddenly doesn't feel like she can trust him anymore. She definitely doesn't trust his father, who is the king. She starts to come into her power. She starts to become one with like this power that she has, because it is fantasy, so there is like a magical element to it. And she feels like she is so much more powerful than all of these people in this kingdom that she has now been brought to. And she's kind of like, why aren't you bowing to me, in a way? Like she gets this vibe that they're really undervaluing her. And in the end of this book, there is a twist that is so out of left field, like so I don't know how to say it. Like, I want to spoil it for you so bad, but I won't, I swear, because I think that you should read it, because I want to know your opinion on it. If you like romantasy, I want to know how you feel about this twist, because in my opinion, when you take a plot twist that is so out of left field, and within the story it is constantly contradicting himself to like what this twist ends up being, that's not good writing. Like, that's not a good book, okay? I want to be able to read the plot twist and have it be so twisty, and so like if it's gonna come out of nowhere, I want to be able to think back on parts in the book and be like, oh my god, that's what they meant when they said this, that's why this happened and they reacted this way. But this book was not it. Like, literally the plot twist that happens to the character, like the character that is the center of this plot twist, they're lying to themselves the whole book. Like, they're lying to us so that we don't see it coming, but in doing that, it becomes very dishonest. Like, the plot twist is not well made, well done, because it comes out of nowhere in such a way that contradicts so much of the character that it happens to. And for that, I had to give it 3 stars, because while it was a shock, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening, what am I reading, and I was really excited to keep going, when I sat back and thought about it at the end, I was like, wow, that was really cheap. Like, you just lied to us this whole book, and for what? Like, you didn't even make it fun to lie to us. So I had a big problem with the twist, just because how out of nowhere, how treacherous the twist really was. It just wasn't written well, okay? Like, if you want to write that twist, you have to write a different book. That's seriously how you have to do it. Okay, and then the final book I read last month was Pride and Prejudice from Jane Austen. This was a buddy read with my girl Sandy. Thank you so much for reading it with me, Sandy. I had a great time reading and talking about this book with you. We know the story of Pride and Prejudice. I mean, I would hope so. If not, you should definitely read it, or at least watch the 6-hour BBC Pride and Prejudice, or the Mormon Pride and Prejudice, or the Keira Knightley Pride and Prejudice, or the YouTube video diaries Pride and Prejudice episode series, because that was really good too. I missed that. This is the story of Elizabeth Bennet. This is the story of Mr. Darcy. This is the story of the Bennet sisters. This is the story of pride and prejudice, and how those things can hurt you in relationships. I think that this story is just so well made. I've seen so many adaptations of this book that the dialogue doesn't even like stand out to me in the book anymore, because I know it so well from the movies. So like, I'm underlining stuff and I'm like, do I like this? Does it actually mean something to me? Or is this actually just super memorable because it's a really funny scene in the movie, or like, I just like this scene in the movie. This is my copy, by the way. I had such a good time reading it. I wrote it up. I mean, you probably can't see very much, but I did make a lot of notes in it, and I just love this story so much. Yeah, that was a great reading month. Okay, having 3 5-stars in 1 month, like, I'm prioritizing the right books. That's all I have to say. That's how I feel about it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you are a returned viewer, a return subscriber, thank you so much for clicking on it. I really appreciate your support. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing so you don't miss any fun book content I make in the future. Okay, my TBR game video should be coming out shortly, and that's my favorite to film. I'm probably gonna film it right after this one, actually, because I'm really excited to pick my TBR for the new month. If you like this video, give it a like, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!